The U.S PIAAC Skills Map is an online tool providing data on the literacy and numeracy skills of adults in all states and counties. And in this video, we overview the latest edition of age and education subgroups. We offer examples of how to use these new features using two states, California and Oregon, as well as a closer look at counties, detailing how to interpret and compare results along the way. Results for age and education groups offer a more nuanced view of adults' skills, potentially improving targeted interventions and development of effective evidence-based policies related to adult education and the workforce. This video is a supplement to the tutorial video that was posted in June 2020. However, you won't have to watch that video first to understand how to use the Skills Map and its new features. First, let's take a brief tour of the Skills Map. When you enter, you'll see county estimates of average literacy scores for adults. The map legend in the bottom right provides information on how to understand the shading of the map, with lighter blue indicating lower levels of the displayed outcome, and darker blue indicating higher levels. The map filter on the left-hand side is the main operation dashboard, displaying variables that you can select from to access results you need. You can view results for counties or states, literacy or numeracy, and average scores or percentage of low performers at or below level 1, middle performers at level 2, or high performers at or above level 3. Below the outcome box, we see the latest addition to the Skills Map, 10-year age bands from 16 to 24 all the way up to 65 to 74. And education groups of those with less than high school or GED, some college, or bachelor's degree or higher. Let's say you're an administrator overseeing adult education programs in California, and you want to know the literacy skill levels of adults in your state. First, you may want to compare the average skills in California with the national average. By hovering over California, you see that adults here have an average literacy score of 257, which seems to be lower than the displayed national average of 264. But is this difference significant? Clicking on the state will display the state summary card of the state to nation comparison. The upper right-hand side shows that the average scores for both literacy and numeracy in California are lower than the national average. On the lower left-hand side, the figure shows that 28% of California's overall population performed at or below level 1 for literacy, and the national percentage is 22%. Using the total 16 to 74-year-old California population of nearly 29 million listed on the right side, and multiplying it by 28%, you can find that a total of 8 million adults in California have low skills. On the right-hand side, you'll also find the analysis of results section, with detailed information on the statistical differences at each literacy or numeracy level and for average scores. By statistical difference, we mean that using statistical testing to take into account the uncertainty of estimates, the numbers are reliably shown to not be equal. So far, we've learned that California's average scores are below the nation's average. But what about neighboring states? Now let's see how to interpret comparisons between states. We can start from the state summary card by clicking the Compare to Another State button. And let's try Oregon. You see that California's average literacy score is statistically lower than Oregon's score of 273. Focusing again on the adult population with low skills, 28% of California's population have low literacy skills compared to 17% of Oregon's. On the other end of the spectrum, 46% of California's population performed at the high skill levels for literacy, at or above level 3, compared to 55% for Oregon. We see a similar pattern in numeracy. We can look more closely at other demographic variables to better understand these differences. By selecting the Add Variables icon at the bottom of the page, a menu of variables from the American Community Survey appears. By choosing the 3 available employment status subgroups, we see, for example, that 66% of the population in California are employed compared to 69% in Oregon, adding context to the results we've already found. An administrator of adult education programs in California or Oregon, who has to deal with large, heterogeneous populations, might be interested in seeing whether certain demographic groups are more in need of additional resources for upskilling or other focused policies. As an example, Let's see how the skills of young adults aged 16 to 24 in California compare to Oregon. In the map filter on the main map, we change selection from overall to 16 to 24 and select California. The summary of results shows that young adults make up 17% of the adult population in California. Using the icon at the bottom of the page to compare young adults' skill levels in California and Oregon, we see a different pattern than what we observed for adults overall. Neither the average literacy and numeracy scores nor the distributions at each level of proficiency are statistically different between the two states. For example, the 17% of 16 to 24-year-olds that have low literacy skills is not statistically different from the 15% with low literacy skills in Oregon. Using the age and education groups drop-down menu at the top of the comparison card, we can change our selection to 25 to 34. And we see there is no significant difference in averages for 25 to 34-year-olds either. Interestingly, for older age groups, differences between these two states fall more in line with the overall differences we originally observed. For 35 to 44, Oregon's average literacy score is 19 points higher than California's, and Oregon's average numeracy score is 22 points higher, both significant differences. Briefly looking through results for other age groups, we also see adults 45 to 54 and 55 to 64 performing lower than their counterparts in Oregon, while there is no difference in average scores for adults 65 to 74. This suggests that the overall skills gap between Californians and Oregonians may be driven by the differences in skills of those 35 to 64 years old, while the skills gap is not evident among the younger generation. Scroll down and open the Explore Outcomes section to see results for all the subgroups under your selected demographic. Here we'll see one figure showing where the skills for each age group fall. While you can't access results of statistical testing between age groups in the same state directly within the map, back on the main map page, you can download the Skills Map data in Excel format for further exploration. The data user guide can provide guidance for analysis, such as reporting of the state and county estimates, statistical testing, and merging Skills Map data with external data. While one expects a close relationship between education and skills, it's not guaranteed that individuals with similar levels of education will perform comparably on literacy and numeracy assessments. The Skills Map allows you to examine skills by education level for each area. Select high school/GED educated adults in California and Oregon, and you'll see they perform similarly in literacy and numeracy. However, there are some differences for other education groups. For example, those with less than a high school education in California score 29 points lower in literacy and 27 points lower in numeracy than adults with the same level of education in Oregon. This again highlights that the differences we observed at the outset between these two states vary depending on which age and education group you're looking at. Within each of these states, shading of the county map shows that there's considerable variation in terms of literacy and numeracy proficiency. In fact, there's an over 60-point difference between California's highest performing county in literacy, Marin, and lowest performing county, Imperial. You can find all county information together by clicking View Overall County Chart. You can do all of the same analyses that we just did at the state level on the county level, looking at how counties compare to their state and to other counties in the state or nationwide. The age and education comparisons can be made only between any two counties within the same state, however. If you have questions or need more guidance, the NCES site has a variety of resources, from a skills map tutorial and brochure to a user's guide, methodology reports, and FAQs that cover additional technical details. Thank you for taking the time to let me show you these features of the Skills Map.